Thanks for joining us today. We're here with Chris Smith. He is the president of the Fair Board at the Jackson County Expo, and he's been donating his time and building up quite a little turnaround out there, which has just been wonderful to watch. So Chris, thanks for joining us, first of all, and before we get started really on the specifics of the Expo, tell us a little bit about why you decided to get on the Fair Board and just kind of why you're donating your personal time to make that organization work.
Well, Bill, first of all, thank you for having me. I was born and raised in Burns, Oregon on a cattle ranch where my father had built a ranch that my grandfather had since 1935. And so yeah, I've spent my whole life a horseback moving cattle and doing the ranch things and putting up hay and those types of things. And so we moved to Washington, D.C. when I was a sophomore in high school. That was a big learning curve for me, wow. Being a redneck from Eastern Oregon. So then I moved to Chicago, spent a year in Chicago working for the Mercantile Exchange, and then finished my college at Oregon State University. And got married. We moved to Medford and had a family. I have twin girls, and they were interested in agriculture. So they started with pigs, and then they had lambs, and they had steers, and so they're out at the expo all the time. And so I got interested in serving the community and doing what I could to make it a better place for everybody. So that was kind of my interest, and didn't know what I was getting into at the time. But it's been a good experience.
And probably a lot of people don't know this, but tell us a little bit about how you end up in Washington, D.C. from Burns, Oregon.
My father was elected to Congress in the 2nd District, and so we were forced to move, and we did it, and it was not the funnest thing, but it was a good thing education-wise for me and my brother and my sister. We learned a lot, got me off the ranch, and yeah, it was a good thing at the end of the day.
So tell the people that are watching just a little bit of how about that process works. How do you become a Fair Board person, just a person on the board, first of all?
Well, it's an appointed position by the Board of Commissioners. I wanted to just serve, so I went down. C.W. Smith was there, and Jack Walker was there at that time. I knew both of them. So I went down and submitted an application and conveyed that I'd like to serve on the board if there was an opportunity. And a couple of years went by, and there was a spot open, and they decided that I was able and willing to fill that spot.
So you applied, and then they appointed you to be in that position. You ended up on the Fair Board with a bunch of other community volunteers. You don't get paid, do you?
No, sir. Oh, actually, we do get paid. We do get paid. Okay. In that, when you do something that's gratifying for your community and you work hard at it, there's of course a payment at the end of the day, in that you feel good about what you're doing.
And the Fair Board, I mean, there's a lot of boards and commissions that help the county, and a lot of citizens get involved in kind of the day-to-day kind of overlooking and seeing what's going on. And all the departments actually have quite a bit. But the Fair Board's a little different. Can you explain to us kind of a little bit about how in the state of Oregon the governance of a Fair Board is different from maybe other boards and commissions people are used to talking about?
Well, we're a part of Jackson County government. We are a department of Jackson County. But we are different in that we have the authority through state statute to operate the facilities out there, which Jackson County owns, but we have the authority to operate them. So yeah, that's where we're different than any other department.
So you're really making decisions and actually running the company a bit different
from
just advising.
We do. And we try to consult with the county administrator and the Board of Commissioners when there are certain decisions that we feel like might impact the county with regard to liability, our budget, those types of things. So we try to be cooperative. We try to coordinate with everybody at the courthouse.
So how long have you been on the Fair Board?
Gosh, it's almost it's going to be 4.5 years, I think. Yeah.
And how long have you been president of the Fair Board?
I think about 3.5 years.
So tell us how that happens. How do you go from on the board to president of the board?
I got on the Fair Board my first meeting. They appointed me vice president. Mel Morris was president. Mel had some health issues, and so I was appointed to chair about 6 months later. So it was a steep learning curve for me, but I think I've learned a lot, learned how to deal with many sorts of folks. and make compromises and try to do the right thing. Everybody has an idea how things ought to operate, and those people normally have a voice, and you know, you have to decide. At some point you have to make a decision, and you're never going to please all the people all the time, and you know, all you can do at the end of the day is do what's in your heart. And so that's what I try to do in guiding my board, which I try to do. I'm only one vote, so when we vote there are 7 votes, and so I don't make all the decisions. I just help. I help do the agenda. I help promote issues that I think we should make policy on, and I help guide my staff down there to make good decisions. And I try to gain knowledge from the staff so we can bring those ideas that they have to the board and make solid policy decisions.
So what sort of time commitment is that for you? How much time are you spending doing this?
It depends, Bill. It's probably 10 to 20 hours a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's an enjoyable thing, and it's well worthwhile.
I think you and I understand the value of the 4-H FFA programs, and they're certainly one of the benefactors of the efforts and having a fairgrounds and having the facilities that are on the fairgrounds. Tell us why that's important to our community.
Well, it's our heritage. As I said again, it's our history. It's our children. You know, those people that grow up, those kids that grow up in that environment, in that ag environment, they have work ethic. They have self-esteem. They know how to grieve, because those are all terminal animal projects out there. And I've seen my kids deal with, you know, when they're walking their steers in the truck. It's a difficult thing for them, but they learn how to grieve and how to deal with those emotions. So it's very important. And you know, those kids grow up and they have morals, they have values, and they go into our society and they contribute. They're not in jails. We're not having to spend money on them in those types of situations. So it's a pleasure to work with some of those young people. As
you're just kind of looking out, and you know, I don't really want to talk about the financial aspects of it, but if you were, you know, 10 years from now, what does that fairgrounds look for in kind of, or look like?
Well, I hope it's way better than it is today, and that's what I always tell some of my board members. You know, what we do today, we don't always get a positive reaction right off the bat, but it's an investment in the futures for other people who serve on this board 10, 15, 20 years from now. And hopefully those people at that point can say, gosh, those guys made good decisions back then, and you know, we're reaping the benefits of those good decisions.
Do you, you know, if you had a wish list, what would be some of the things that you'd like to see happen? Money being no object, which obviously it always is, but what are some of the projects you'd like to see?
Well, the projects we're working on, you know, we're always working on outside income streams, which means something other than renting buildings and producing events. So one of those would be maybe a hotel. We have a hotel site and a community center, those types of things. We're talking about other income stream opportunities with private and public people to serve our community, and so those would be the types of things that would help us.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for spending time with us today, and again, thank you so much for your commitment to the community and specifically the expo. I'm always I'm kind of a carny at heart. I love the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And I love fairs.
I think everybody loves fairs. How can you love a fair, a corn dog, and 6,000 calories per day? I mean, you know, you got to love that. Plus, it's so important that we continue to nurture that place, because it's a gathering place for our community to come together, to enjoy each other, to enjoy each other's company, to have conversations, and just have a good time, and bring our kids out there, and it's a safe place for everybody to come and rejoice.